place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It's Monday, 9th December 2024, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, we are in the festive season, and of course, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to be coming to you wherever you are this morning, whatever you're doing, whether you're pottering around in your garden, in your kitchen, having your first cup of coffee or tea for this morning. We say thank you so much for choosing us this morning to be a part of your daily routine. We do have a lovely show lineup for you this morning, and we hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire programming. But of course, before we get into all of that, we're going to head on over to the news in 90 seconds. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine has rated his administration's performance a 7 out of 10 as they commemorate 3 years in office. While satisfied with their achievements, Augustine remains determined to accomplish even more in their final year. Notable successes under his leadership include stabilizing Tobago's post-COVID economy, enhancing healthcare services, increasing social grants, boosting agricultural productivity, and tackling land distribution issues. Augustine noted his team's commitment to transformational leadership, drawing contrast with the previous regime that dominated for 2 decades. And next, the opposition is anticipated to support Tobago's call for additional consultations on the 2 autonomy bills. Several United Nations Congress MPs, including MP Dinesh Rambali, opposed the legislation, criticizing the government for stalling progress for 3 years and then hastily advancing the bills ahead of elections. Rambali and other critics contended that the proposals for self-government and the creation of a Tobago Executive Council lack adequate consultation with the Tobagonians and fail to address key demands for a federal-style governance structure. The bills, which require a special majority for passage, remain a point of contention. President of the Joint Consultative Council, Fazil Khan, emphasized the Office of the Procurement Regulator's responsibility in scrutinizing cost overrun on government contracts, including the ANR Robinson Airport development project in Tobago. Initially budgeted at $1.286 billion, the project's cost has risen to $1.7 billion, with $118 million attributed to overruns caused by COVID-19 delays and land acquisition challenges. Khan clarified, although the contract predated the OPR's full legal authority, the regulator is empowered to review, report, and, if necessary, pursue actions in case of misused finances. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And so, of course, we are in the month of December. We are speedily heading into the Christmas season, of course. The festivities, the atmosphere is feeling a little bit festive. And, just over the weekend, I think we saw an announcement there from the Tobago Festivals Commission. For those of you who are scrolling through your Facebook pages, your social media pages, you would have seen a post there from the Tobago Festivals Commission talking about a festival upcoming. We know we usually have the Tobago Jazz Festival, but we've seen here the Rhythm and Soul Festival. Yes, early announcement coming out there from the Tobago Festivals Commission, taking place in April from the 17th to the 20th, of course, with a feature headliner, Mr. Buju Banton. Yes, he would be there as well. So we must say kudos and congratulations to the Tobago Festivals Commission, of course. An early announcement means that you can make your plans early ahead. You can make your plans ahead of time. And we're hoping that you know who will get on board. And I'm talking about Caribbean Airlines. I'm hoping that they will get on board with this speedily and ensure that we have the necessary support in terms of the air bridge to get persons to Tobago who want to attend the festival in April. We're in December, so we have about 4 months 4.5 months advance notice. So, no excuses there. We're not going to take that. We want to ensure that people get to the island and enjoy what we have to offer here as a people. It's really a feel-good moment here. Globally, it's that time of the year where the atmosphere for me, it shifts. There is a change. Something feels different in the atmosphere. You can feel even the air that we breathe is different. The season changes. It starts to get dark earlier, and so it's a little bit more cozy. Telling you that it's Christmas time and we need to start celebrating. So how about we share love one for another? How about we share with those who are in need? And how about we just be thankful for all that we have and all that we've been blessed with, right? Before we get into anything else, we're going to head on over to our birthday shout out. It's time to say happy birthday to all those who are celebrating. And we have a belated birthday. This is my sissy. She calls me Sissy Poo. This is Carleen George. She celebrated on Saturday. She had a birthday day. Happy belated birthday to you, Carleen. And I pray God's blessings upon your life. And I do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful season. Continue to celebrate and experience the love of God upon your life. So happy birthday to you, Carleen. Next is Lyndon Lashley. Lyndon Lashley celebrating a birthday today. And Lyndon, we want to say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life as well. And we do hope that you have a wonderful birthday. Next is Larry Braffett. Larry Braffett is also celebrating. These police celebrating today. Boy, previously we had Lyndon and now we have Larry also celebrating a birthday today. And we want to say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life and we do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday today. And finally, we have Miss Cindy Gray. Cindy Gray is also celebrating a birthday, and we do hope that you have a wonderful birthday today. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that everything you do is well enjoyed today as well. So happy birthday to you, my lady. And of course, if you are celebrating a birthday, you're celebrating an anniversary, a promotion, or perhaps you have retired, whatever you are celebrating, the birth of a new baby in your family, whatever it is, we say congratulations to you and happy celebrations. We join in the celebration with you, and we do remind you to include God, to give him thanks for life and for every opportunity to be to celebrate. Every occasion that you have for celebrating, we must give God thanks for life and for all that he has done and continues to do for us. As we enter into this season, of course, remember that he is the reason for the season. So while we're drinking and eating and having fun and exchanging gifts, remember to give God thanks. It's Monday morning, so what's in my cup? What's in my cup this morning is sponsored by LCJ Delights, and this morning I am having ginger turmeric tea. It's that kind of morning this morning where I just feel for something gingery, so I'm having ginger turmeric tea this morning, sponsored by LCJ Delights. They are the sponsor of our drink this morning, and you can get your tea, you can get your porridge, the flour to make your pancakes, your waffles, and as you saw on our last show when she was here, also your cookie batter. So yes, you can get all of those stuff from LCJ Delights. She also produces premium blend of mixed nuts there as well, so you can get that as well. All right, we have to go for a quick break before we begin conversations in studio this morning. But of course, I want to know how your weekend was. I mean, we launched, let me tell you, we launched the night before Christmas, a True Tobago Christmas. We launched it last Friday night. And I want to say a big thank you for all of you who came on the live stream, for all of you who called in and were a part of the program. It was an amazing time. I had a wonderful time with all of you in studio as we went through the paces, and of course we will be back again this Friday, so you want to stay tuned for that as well. But thank you so much, and all the winners, of course, we'll be contacting you today so that you can claim your prizes today. Thank you. Remember, once you tune in, you're going to be going on that journey with us as we talk about Christmas traditions here on the island of Tobago. We're going to be talking about all the things that they did in the past that we are no longer doing, or the things that we are still doing and probably doing it a little bit differently. We're going to talk to people in community communities who have the knowledge and the experience. And of course, we're going to taste some goodies on set. Of course, last Friday, we had some nice cassava pone from Double J's Delights, and we had some puncha creme. Yeah, we did, from Kathy's Cream. And we really are thankful for our sponsors. Dominion Promotion, Dominion Appliances rather, was also our sponsor for the giveaway in the end as well. So thank you to everybody who came on board and made the show a success. And so we are going to be back again this Friday, and we do hope that you can come along on the journey with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so who are we talking with this morning? Let me tell you who is up on our program this morning. You have to stay tuned with us, as we enter into this month. There's so many things that we have to talk about. And we start off by speaking with PC Morris Goddard, tourism-oriented policing. Oh, this is exciting stuff. And WPC Sandra D. Rochford Jacob was also, are we talking about cruise ship season, security awareness, very, very important topic. We need to talk about that. And then we speak with Mr. Ashwood Jack, former minority leader. We're speaking about the Tobago Autonomy bill as well as we continue with the program this morning. So we do hope that you can stay with us right throughout it. But before we get into all of that, whether you're viewing right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, whether you're from the United States of America, United Kingdom, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, we thank you so much, and we ask you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
It's the season of unforgettable, magical moments together. A song that reminds us of how our love blossomed. The warm, comforting smell of Christmas Day that brings us together. That feeling of comfort when our loved ones see the magic happening before their eyes. This Christmas, believe in magic, only at Standard.
Get ready for the most magical event of the season. The Tobago Gospel Promoters proudly presents Christmas Village. Christmas Village. Everything Christmas at the Scarborough Esplanade, Tobago. From the 18th to the 21st of December, 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. 4 nights of live entertainment. Los Cantantes de Jesus. And from Tobago, El Corazon de Parang, Blessed Messenger, Janex, Bijon Pier, choirs, steel bands, and dance from across Tobago, and our featured drama production. It's a Christmas production you don't want to miss. From toys to curtains, wines, ginger beer, cake, and a kids zone. 4 days of everything Christmas. For all interested vendors, please contact 392-4060. And for general information on Christmas Village, 786-8736.
We coming together, me and my family, we eating together.
Are you thinking about spending Christmas in Tobago? Well, call us at Thorne's Place. We are located at the hills of Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port, with rooms starting at 200 TT. Call us now at 745-7306 or 682-8676. Follow us on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram. Message us on WhatsApp at Thorne's Place. Your Christmas in Tobago will be even more special.
Unwrap the magic of Christmas and have the best Christmas ever with a Christmas Wishes loan from Bethel Credit Union.
Up to $20,000 can be yours, so you can take care of all those Christmas expenses. You could even pay off all your debts and your credit card.
Come on down to where we make wishes come through, because we see you
at BCU.
Visit any of our offices today at 31 Bethlehem Road, Bethel, Tobago, or Mount Mary, Lower Scarborough, Tobago.
You can contact us at 639-8226-660-7358 or 631-1336.
Normal lending criteria apply. Think, plan, save with Bethel Credit Union. Because we see you at BCU. We see you at BCU. Come on down, get a loan or two, cause we see you this Christmas at BCU.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio as we speak with PC Morris Goddard of the Tourism-Oriented Policing Section, as well as WPC Sandra D. Rochford Jacobs of the same section. We're talking about cruise ship season and security awareness. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Adana. How are you?
I am well, thanks, and it's a pleasure to have you on set with us this morning. Very interesting topic this morning. I know usually when we speak about the cruise ship season, we speak about dollars and cents, right? And this is a very, very important topic for all of us here on the island of Tobago, taken from a different angle. So talk us through exactly what type of awareness or what type of security we're talking about as it relates to the season, which we call the cruise ship season.
So what we do basically is go to all the sites that the foreigners will usually visit, from Crown Point to Charlottesville, all the popular sites, reef, the beaches, because some of them visit some of the beaches that, you know, sort of unknown. So we try to do that to the rainforest, Argyle Waterfall, Pigeon Point, Storby, you name it, even Fort in Plymouth. So we do that kind of security. We try to be proactive instead of being reactive.
So basically, it is a kind of accompanying to the tourists, as well, at least in the tourist season, to have an extra presence in those areas to ensure safety and security?
Yes, not only in the tourist season, but, as you know, there are tourists here all the time. Mm-hmm. But especially cruise ship season, we try to be more visible, you know, so at least people are comfortable with seeing us there.
And as you're talking about not just during the cruise ship season, but I want to know a little bit more about this section, the tourism-oriented policing section. Just talk us through some of your roles and responsibilities and some of the things we can expect from this section on a regular basis.
Right. So this section is based under the community policing section also of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. But our role and function is to deal directly with foreigners and visitors, whether they are local or international. We also deal with the hotels, guest houses, villas, some apartment buildings that rent to visitors. We do the beaches, we do schools also. And we do other lectures that people will think. We're part of the tongue meeting and so on. So we have a wide scope, but our main focus is in tourism.
All right. And in terms of providing that measure of security and reassurance, I suppose, for tourists, especially when they come to the island. And as you mentioned earlier, that sometimes they go to some beaches that are unpopular, might be secluded, it might be, you know, not known to very many people. And so sometimes they find comfort in those sort of areas. Do you also provide any type of sensitization to tourists themselves, or is it that you're just present there in those spaces where they're likely to be?
Well, sometimes we sensitize them, and the other times, you know, you just let them be, let them enjoy the island, because this is what they're there for. And sometimes you want people to feel safe, and then you don't want them to go and blog negatively. So you just make sure that you're there, they see you, and sometimes they approach you and they feel comfortable that you're there.
All right. And in terms of your presence there, have you noticed any change in terms of, you know, human behavior? The reason why you are there, of course, is to protect them, for them to feel safe, to secure the spaces. Do you see a change in behavior of the persons who might be trying to be a little bit naughty around that time, and your presence, of course, helping them to stay away and represent Tobago well in terms of not interfering with or causing any type of mischief in those areas?
Yeah, we've also seen that a change. In the last season, we had no crimes against tourists, which was a plus. We also try to sensitize and educate the people in the villages, and also the people that we think that might be of some they might be adverse to the whole sector, because you're not just talking about the person, but you're talking about the sector. So we try to educate them also.
Right. So is it that you have community? I know you said you're part of the community policing. Do you have that type of, as you're talking about here, type of community consultations or community outreach? Let's say, for instance, the area of, let's say, where the main ridge is. Do you have any kind of outreach for the persons in the community to say, listen, we're going to partner with you to ensure we provide a safe space for our tourists, because we want, of course, to maintain that level of welcome to Tobago?
Yes. We do some one-on-one, some with small groups, even with the tour operators and the maxi and taxi drivers. So even when we're there and they are visiting, you know, we interact with the tour operators and maxi drivers. So they're on board, and they in turn pass it on to other people. So it trickles down, you know. So it's not really hard.
All right, and it's something, of course, you enjoy.
Of course.
I know the TTPS is here to protect and serve with pride, and so, you know, of course, as a measure of service to the people in the communities, not just the tourists. I would see it as a service also to the residents here on the island of Tobago, because, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, whether you are visiting locally, whether you're a local visitor or an international visitor, meaning somebody from Trinidad, let's say I'm visiting Bloody Bay, I'm not from there, I'm a tourist to Bloody Bay, aren't I? Yes. You know, so I suppose your presence there is also to make me feel that measure of safety and comfort as well. In terms of operations with the units, what are some of your projections for upcoming seasons, or even your expectations for this season that we're in now? Not just the cruise ship season, but also you have Christmas, you have so many festivals happening or festivities rather happening on the island of Tobago. And of course, when we move into next year, there are other festivals upcoming where we would expect more tourists. What are some of the things you are looking forward to or to put in place that you have noticed in terms of your operations now that you think you can beef up, or you think you can continue to expand on as operating smoothly?
So I'm looking at, basically, manpower is a problem in most organizations, not only in the TTPS. But we're working very hard to make sure that we put measures in place that will be comfortable for everyone, not only the foreigners, because some of them come for 1 day, 2 days, a week, and they're going back. But we have to also be concerned about our people here. So we try to put things in place, have a presence out there, and try to be more proactive than reactive. You know, we look at crime and everybody's talking about crime, but nobody's saying anything when it's going down. You know, and it's a plus that it's going down now, you know, because the figures will show. And, you know, we thank God that at least we're trying to put things in place.
Right.
I also will add to that by saying, even though we are a small unit and we have so many activities coming up in the future and in this present season, the tourist-oriented police under cops, not only the officers who will do the security measures within the space, but we have other outstations that will collaborate with us and bring that strength and awareness to the public. So with all of this within the season, we have a lot of walkabouts, sensitizing the community about the Christmas season and the safety, you know, and the children as well in the school. We do such, even at the corridor and all of that. And doing that, we just not tourist-oriented police, but all divisions or stations in Tobago, we come together and form that strength to make everybody on our island safe. Not just the tourists, but as you said before, our local tourists, which are us, our domestic tourists, which are the Trinidadians, our Caribbean tourists, and international. And for me, I must say to the public that customer service is most important in this industry. Not just for the police officers, but for the taxi drivers, the maxi drivers, the stakeholders who sell the craft work, the tour operators, the fisher folk, because they are going on the beaches. They are meeting the public when they walk the streets to assist the tourists, help them to cross the street. You know, beware that we are tourist island, we have tourists on the island, so when they come and you realize they want to cross, it will be very kind to stop.
I actually saw that happening yesterday evening. I was driving, I was entering into a side street, and there was a gentleman sitting on the corner. You know, as they do, they're hanging out on the corner.
They do.
And I saw the tourist about to cross, and he came out into the street and he put his hand up and he said, "Stop, allow them to cross." Which I wasn't going to do, but I found it to be so, as you mentioned it, that came back to my mind, and I found it to be so beautiful that we, you know. He was so emphatic in the fact that, you know, we need to allow them to stop.
So we have to sensitize the public that you are part of us. We want to make Tobago special, our little Tobago, and it all starts with us. Let us practice tourism, customer service, not just when it is tourist season, but throughout the year. And by doing that, we become perfect. Even when you go to the store as a local person, don't wait for us to ask you for something. Approach us nicely. How can I help you today? And try to sell something. Do the same for the client when they come off the cruise ship. Entertain them. Make them feel comfortable. If you see them going in the wrong direction, guide them. Hey, you know we don't have any sightseeing across on this side, no tourist attraction. So I think you need to turn around and give a direction to a site. Or if you want to accompany them, that will save volume for us in Tobago. Customer service.
And what a lovely, lovely way to wrap this conversation this morning, talking about customer service and the fact that we all need to partner together to ensure that our tourists and even our local tourists feel safe, feel welcomed, and feel at home here on the island of Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with PC Goddard and Sandra D. Rochford Jacob this morning, talking about community tourism oriented policing. Yes, of course, we all have to be a part of that conversation. We all have to make each other feel welcomed and at home and safe in our spaces where we are. So let's collaborate, as we always say, with the TTPS to ensure that we have a beautiful, beautiful space, especially in the festive season. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations here in studio this morning. And as we go, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Tobago because it has beautiful flora and fauna, biodiversity, beautiful scenery, beautiful villages and cultures.
Because the people are nice. My name is Zuma Chapman.
My name is Zaid Uwe. My name is Rebecca Week.
My name is Mohammed Udin.
Kiara Stewart.
Kaylee Burnett.
Jolie St. John.
Ochi Emmanuel.
Jill Young. Johanna Brown.
Sarah Judah Spinney.
I love Tobago.
And I love Tobago.
What I love about Tobago,
I love Tobago because of its tradition,
because of the culture, the people, the history, the island itself.
I love Tobago for its beautiful beaches, the beaches.
The beaches.
I love Tobago because of the hospitality of the people. Wherever you go on the island, someone's going to be there to greet you with a smile. They're going to assist you. They're so friendly, so helpful.
It's local food.
Great food.
The variety of local foods.
It's delicious food and activities that it has.
Boat and crab racing.
And I truly love Tobago because of its diverse culture and the immense amount of activities one can do when they come to Tobago, such as carnival, going to the beaches, and heritage.
And also the Blue Food Festival.
What it holds, all down to the very provision and fruit. It is just amazing. And I love the fact that I was born on this island.
Crab and dumpling, and my favorite one of all, crab and callaloo.
Because of its smooth texture on the dumpling and the sweet spicy taste on the crab.
Overall, it's really tropical. It's a nice place, and for somebody who loves beaches like me, I love to go to the beach within 2 minutes away from home. Whereas Trinidad, it's, so far to go to the beach.
Our culture, our hospitality, our heritage, I think that we're one of the most friendliest types of people that you can meet. Someone is always there to greet you with a smile or a plate of food for like harvest and everything. So I think it's just that, and I really love this great little island.
It's a really fun place where you will enjoy your stay.
Tobago is known for being multicultural.
Although we are a geographically small destination, we leave such a large impact on the world because we harness so much talent and have such a diverse culture. The people that we produce on the island leave traces of Tobago wherever they go.
Be advised that the date and venue for the Tobago Day Thanksgiving service have been changed to Thursday, December 19th at the Shaw Park Complex. Start time 9 a.m. Come give thanks with us as we continue our Tobago Day celebration.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
This Christmas, believe in magic. Enjoy our delicious deals on appliances for the perfect Christmas together. Only at Standard.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We continue conversations this morning in studio. We switch gears a bit and we speak with Mr. Ashwood Jack, former minority leader, and this morning we're talking about, yes, the Tobago Autonomy Bill. If you are paying attention, you'd know what stage we are this morning, but I'll let Mr. Jack introduce that topic and tell you where we are, where that bill is concerned. Good morning and welcome.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
As we speak about the Tobago Autonomy Bill, and that I hope the whole of Tobago by now knows that the report goes to the House today.
Today?
And a lot of people are asking, is it going to be debated today? It doesn't have to be. You can just take a vote on whatever the recommendations from the Select Committee is. And that could affect Tobago for the probably next 20, 30 years. But for me, I just wanted to pay attention to a couple of things in the bill and how that affects or how we benefit or not benefit from it. But before I go into all that, I talk about the issue of autonomy. I want to just introduce a small personal stuff that I have had the opportunity to visit the Tobago Health Facilities, the Scarborough and Roxborough Hospital, pretty more often than I have done probably in the last 30 or so years. I had a brother who was sick at the Scarborough Hospital and he eventually died. And I myself did a surgery at the Roxborough Hospital 2 weeks ago. This is my first day out really. And I want to commend the persons who are in charge of healthcare in Tobago. The doctors, the policymakers, the nurses, the cleaners. And I have visited public hospitals throughout Tobago for most of my life. And I think the Tobago hospitals are an example. And I think that what happened in Tobago, we like to beat each other down when something is bad. But I want to take this opportunity to commend the people. I wanted to save a special commendation for the Roxborough Hospital and the way the Roxborough Hospital is kept. The quality of service, the patient care, the interaction, it really is top notch. I need to say that. And that in itself tells you what we can do if we are given the opportunity to do the things that are our responsibility. So even that ties in to the issue of how autonomy works. I think that one of the things that we have found is that Tobago's biggest problem is that Tobago is grossly underfunded. And I want to deal with that a bit because those are some of the major tenets of the bill that goes to the House today. And I wanted to deal with them because we need to be very careful sometimes what we say when we say what we say, because it sometimes we say things without understanding what we're doing. I've been listening to the arguments that have been prefaced in the last month or so as to why it isn't absolutely necessary to take this as it is. And I know I've been listening to that, I've been listening to the players, the people who have been saying it. And you can say anything, but then you have to be able to show how that works, right? I have listened to some of the senator, the two MPs speak about how much, if the bill was taken in 2021, how much money that Tobago would have gotten in addition to what it was. And I said, is either we deceptive or we wicked? And let me tell you why. In 2013, the proposal for Tobago's budgetary allocation was 8%. In 2024, it is 6.9%. I can go through the pronouncements that was made in 2013 to say that we can't take 8%, it's not enough. It's craziness. Ashwell Jack selling out Tobago. Only 8%. 11 years after, the same people, exact people, some of them are neophytes. Some of them just came ahead and are just following the dictates. But some of the same people are come back to tell you, listen, take little and live long. 6% is better than 4.03. But you're saying 8% was not enough. And my question to them is that the 6.9% is going to be paid to us in US. Because the only way 6 is greater than 8 is if you're using a different currency. Is it British pounds? Is it US dollars? So how can you tell me now in 2024 that we should take 6.9% because this is such a fantastic position to be in? But yet you were saying 11 years ago that 8% was insufficient. And then there's the audacity to come and show you what the dollar figure would have been if you took it. And so if we're talking about dollar figure, let's speak about dollar figure. Our actual allocation in 2013 was $2.28 billion. With the 13%, with the 8%, it would have been $4.67 billion. About double, just over double the allocation. Right? So we lost, there was a shortfall of $2.39 billion. And that was okay. People think that was okay. And we can do the same thing all the way down. 2014, it would have been $4.91 billion. What we got was $2.45 billion because I'm using their argument to say, if you take this, you'll get it. I'm saying, but you turn down 8%, which would have given you about double the allocation. And so if we follow that logical conclusion, between 2013 and 2024, Tobago would have gotten $54 billion. We have a shortfall of $27 billion. 50%. So if the argument is you should take this because this is more, then how come you were saying that 8% was not enough?
But let me ask you this, Mr. Jack, right?
Yeah,
the 8% at the point in time was declared not enough, right?
Right, correct.
Okay, that's factual. And now we have 6.9 before us,
right?
Which we are discussing now, which obviously is less than 8%. Let me just throw this in the ring, right? So if we're arguing now that we're not going to take 6.9, I'm just putting this in. I'm putting this in the ring. We're not going to accept 6.9. And so the bill has to go back again.
No, not
Wait, hold on. Let me just say, I'm just saying, because remember it came off the table at the 8%, right?
Right.
And so it's back on at 6.9%. And if it seems as if, well, we can't really decide what we want, so it comes off the table again, I'm just saying, and then it comes back another 10 years.
No.
Hold on, let me just make my point. And we come back another 10 years at 5.2%, which is more than the 4 points what we get in. So you see that decline. So what is the way forward now? Because we started off at 8, which we rejected.
Right.
We're now at 6.9, which is obviously less than 8. If we stay at this point and we decide, no, it's still not enough, when we fight again, will we be going back up or will we be going down?
But you see, I hear the argument, right? Or I hear the position that you want us to be able to discuss.
To consider.
And I want to say this. The issue of it is not that you would not get the votes to 8%. The problem in 2013 is that we were 1 vote short of getting 8%. In 24, the government could get the votes to 8% and do all the changes. The opposition is willing to vote for the bill, giving Tobago all the powers and all of that was presented before. So it's not that you don't have the votes, you have the votes. And the question is, if you have the votes to give 8%, or even more than 8, because there are some other considerations that I would want to introduce a bit later in the discussion. Why settle for 6% when you have the votes to give the 8%? So it's clearly a case of punishment. And I hear it, and I see that is the interesting thing, that because that is the exact argument I'm hearing they're making. So suppose you come back and you get less than 4%. That is not the problem. The problem here is we have to decide if we want, every time the PNM brings a bill, it is less than what they rejected, saying it's not enough, and then come back and say that's not the only part of it. Let's go to another part of it. The amount of miles that Tobago have control over, Act number 40 gives you 6. The bill of 2013 gave you 11, because international law says that you have to be a sovereign state to get the 200 miles of exclusive economic zone. But of course, you can negotiate and be able to control, but legislatively, you couldn't get more than 11. Our argument was that back in 20. Go to the argument then and see what it was. The same people who telling you that you should take 8 now. It's now down from 11 to 8. But they say, but 2 miles is more than the 6 you had. But you told me 11 was not enough. But you have now come down to 8. But in 2013, your argument was, Jack and them robbing we entitled to 200 miles. So you have come down from 200, come down 192 miles to 8, and tell me, oh, but wait and take this little bit, and then we go come back another time, and we'll come back another time. It's like telling me, saying to us that we should take this because it's the best we're going to get now, whether it be the 6% or the 8 miles. It's going back and telling me that in slavery, I will tell you, you work less hours, but you're still a slave. You're still going to get your licks. Your children's still going to be sold. With all that, and my argument, as a Tobagonian, my argument is, why do we have to settle for less when we have all the means to give Tobago what it needs? Because once you take this, is another 20, 30 years before anybody brings it up again. And we have seen it. That is the history. We became a part of this sovereign democratic state called Tobago 136 years ago. And for 136 years, we have been dissatisfied with the arrangement. And I think it's 54. APT James started the issue of the internal government. He took his own money. He went to Melbourne House to argue that Tobago needs to get autonomy and above stuff. So what, 70 years ago. 70 years down the road. We're in the same place, and somebody's saying to us, take a little bit and live long. And I'm saying to people, you have to know what your value, you have to know what you're worth, right? Even that, between 2013 and now, there have been a number of changes that needs to be taken into consideration. And the changes is not in the negative, it's in the positive. In 2013, Tobago was not producing gas. In 2024, Tobago is producing gas. And therefore, you should be in a better position in terms of negotiation. By 2025, probably 2025, 2026, the latest, Tobago will be producing another 1 million cubic meters of gas per day, coupled with the 200 to 250,000 it is producing now. Then there are 2 other blocks that are already under rent that they will look to bring on. And right now, there are bids out for another 3 or 4 blocks bigger than the blocks that we now have under rent and production. And so the question is, how can you be bringing a greater part of the national pie and saying that, but no, you're getting less than you were getting before? And somebody say, well, look, take that for now. Wait another 20 or 30 years, and when you come back, and then we're going to negotiate. I'm saying today the government could introduce an amendment to the bill today that says, okay, we're going to move the 6.9 to 8 or to 10%. We're going to introduce a profit sharing aspect to the gas and bill. And I am very sure the opposition will vote for it. So it is not that you have to wait another 20 years. It could be done today. But you know, it's interesting. This whole thing about this today is an interesting time to have brought this bill. I want to see the last time I was saying to Miss Felix, I think it was, that the first bill for Robinson for internal self-government should have been debated in the House on the 10th of December 1976. The Speaker didn't put it on the order paper, and that is why it was debated on the 14th of January. You know why it was? And Mr. Robinson said he didn't know, but I have dealt with it, but as I said, I know the man. He don't miss those big things. It was supposed to be debated on the 10th, and I am convinced that the reason was because the 10th of December is International Human Rights Day. We're on the 9th. We're some hours away from International Human Rights Day. And I'm saying if we are serious, give Tobago the human rights that it deserves.
You know, the conversation is going to continue, you know. I'm looking forward to see how today will roll out, because you're saying that there doesn't have to be a debate.
No, not necessarily.
There doesn't need to be any, there doesn't necessarily going to be any amendments. It can just pass.
Just go to the House for a vote. And it could either pass or fail based on some of the things that is required for the changes. So a couple of changes that will require a 3/5 majority. Mm-hmm. And I think that what is happening here is that we are about to enter election season. And Tobago has become the most important part of the country, or as important as any other place in the country, because of the closeness of the numbers in Trinidad. And so the Tobago 2 seats will determine, and have determined for quite a while, which government get elected. And so this is an attempt to connect Tobago, the non-PNM parties in Tobago, and say, well, you see, there's the UNC, and they didn't vote for it, so they do like Tobago. But I also want to say something to us in Tobago as we talk about this. We are a lot of Tobagonians practice subtle racism, because the PNM is in Tobago every day, which is that Trinidad party, telling you this is what is good for Tobago, and then you say, don't let anybody else talk about it. Only the PNM from Trinidad could have any say in what happened in Tobago, because the other party is an Indian party. That is basically what we say. We said it in 2013, the Indian go take over. We say every time you want to browbeat any other political organization in Tobago, you see, the UNC. So it's not the UNC. Really what they're saying is the Indians.
I don't want to enter into that.
No, you don't have to. And as a host, I'm saying that you don't need to. I have nothing to lose. My responsibility is to say things as they are.
So I want to focus a little bit on what today could look like for us.
Yeah.
We spoke about the fact that it is in the parliament today.
Yeah.
It can go for a vote.
Yeah.
They can either vote yes or no.
Or they can decide to take it back to debate and do the necessary amendments, debate the amendments, and then...
in your opinion, which is the best position for Tobago where that is concerned? Vote yes, vote no, or take it back for amendments?
Take it back to amendments.
And I believe a lot of people are having that same sort of a position. But my question is, I am trying to be as balanced as possible. Bring it back for amendments, yes, to get the best possible outcome. When it comes back for an amendment, how long is it going to stay in that circle, in that dome of amendments for it to move forward again?
It could be done in weeks.
Because
amendments means amendments are proposed. Let's say, for
I
instance,
understand all of this, but if we're looking at the trend of things and how long things take to happen,
and that's the problem.
Is there a timeline? My question has always been: is there a timeline? a policy that is in place that says, okay, if we're going to take it back for amendment within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 weeks, we have to have it amended so we can move forward, or we take it off the table until the next 20 years.
With the necessary amendments that we have been discussing, that was brought to the table in 2013, the same people who brought it to the table in 2013 now sits in opposition and is willing and ready to vote for a bill that gives Tobago more power. So it's not that you have to go and renegotiate for it. It's just a matter of making the amendment on paper and then bring it to the vote. So it could be done it could even be done on the floor. You can amend that bill on the floor.
Okay.
So it's not that you have to go back to a long process of select committee and all that. No, it could be done on the floor. You see, there are a couple of things that could be done on the floor, and a lot of people don't even understand that, right? I look at it, the government could amend the bill also to put in a clause that speaks to dissolving the House after as part of this bill, and people thinking that you can't do that because you have to wait until next year for election. No. If this bill is passed, it replaces Act number 40 of 1996. And therefore, you can amend it on the floor to say, okay, we getting this thing passed, so we now go and do lawmaking and stuff. So we need the people of Tobago to decide who will be the people they want to elect to make laws and stuff. When they elect the last assembly, they didn't have that power. So let's see if Tobago now want to change or they want to keep the same set of people to administer this new power. I've heard somebody make an argument that in 1996 they wait until the election time in order to do the change. But you have to understand the dynamics were different. In 1996, A.N.R. Robinson was Minister Extraordinary. The NAR was in power in Tobago. When the bill came to debate, one of the things that was said is that you can't give Tobago all this power. And I could take you back to 2009, where one of to me, the biggest thing that is missing from the 2013 bill is some amendments to give Tobago make Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago a federal system, which is what some of the people in Tobago argue. We really should have a federal system. And that was one of the biggest things missing in the 2013 bill. But if I can show you newspaper clippings where the then Prime Minister said, I'm not doing that because my biggest fear is if I do that, then we could break up the union. The United States is a federal system. St. Kitts is a federal system. It doesn't break up the union, it strengthens the union, right? Because if I'm managing this space, then I understand what this space needs. But what we have, not in the Constitution, but in reality, is because the Constitution doesn't speak about unitary state. Trinidad and Tobago is not a unitary state. In the Constitution, it is in reality, because the power is centralized. But the framers of the Constitution was quite clear in the way they wrote the Constitution. The Constitution says that Trinidad and Tobago is a sovereign, democratic state consisting of two islands, the island of Trinidad and its dependencies, and the island of Tobago and its dependencies. I think that when the Constitution was framed, the framers would have taken into consideration that Tobagonians would not always want to be managed out of Port of Spain, and therefore it did not put Tobago as a unitary state in the sense of the word that unitary means the government is centralized at one point.
You know, Mr. Jack, if we had more time this morning, we would continue the conversation in terms of how the Constitution is framed and to get a better understanding. But more importantly, this morning, as the bill is going before the Parliament, whether it's for debate, whether it is for vote, whether it's to head back for amendment, that is where we are. And Tobago, I hope you are paying attention today. You want to be kept up to date as to what is happening and where do we go from here today. After that happens today, we need to pay attention to that as well. So please stay tuned to all that is happening in your local media spaces as it relates to the Autonomy bill this morning. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to end the morning show here this morning. Okay, I'm being told that we're going for a break. We're going for a short break and we will resume. So do stay with us this morning. In the meantime, help us to share the live. Share the live. Share the live. We'll be right back.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With Amplia TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with Amplia's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With Amplia, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. Amplia. Do more, live more.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
Event of the season, the Tobago Gospel Promoters proudly presents Christmas Village, everything Christmas at the Scarborough Esplanade, Tobago, from the 18th to the 21st of December, 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. 4 nights of live entertainment. Los Cantantes de Jesus, and from Tobago, El Corazon de Parang, Blessed Messenger, Genex, Bijon Pier, choirs, steel bands, and dance from across Tobago, and our featured drama production. It's a Christmas production you don't want to miss. From toys to curtains, wines, ginger beer, cake, and a kids zone. 4 days of everything Christmas. For all interested vendors, please contact 392-4060. And for general information on Christmas Village, 786-8736.
We coming together, me and my family, we eating together, me and my family.
It's the season of unforgettable, magical moments together. A song that reminds us of how our love blossomed. The warm, comforting smell of Christmas Day that brings us together. That feeling of comfort when our loved ones see the magic happening before their eyes. This Christmas, Believe in magic. Only at Standard.
Put a smile on your face.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. Tobago, be reminded that the autonomy bills are before the Parliament today, and speaking with former Minority Leader Mr. Ashwood Jack, we were informed that a couple of things could take place today. They can either be a vote for or against, or they can go back to have the bill amended in terms of how long it is going to take. If they do that, we're uncertain. He's saying it could happen in a day, it could happen in a week, 2 weeks perhaps. But that is where we are today, and we're hoping that you will pay attention to what is happening, however it turns out today, it really impacts the way we live here on the island of Tobago. So please pay attention to all that is happening. Should we have some more time at another point in time, we can always bring Mr. Jacko on, any of the persons who is fully aware of in terms of the Constitution, the way it is set up. And I'm hoping that at some point in time we can have some sort of program where the information on Constitution is kind of given in an interactive way, so we can have a better understanding of how things happen in the Parliament and the things that govern us here in Trinidad and Tobago, and specifically in the Tobago space, so that we can have a wider conversation as to what we want as a Tobago people to understand how things happen, the timeline, the time spans, and to ensure that we get the best end of the bargain for all of us here on the island of Tobago. But for now, this is where we have to end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, and we do hope that you continue to stay with us because our programming continues on with GMT. So as you go this morning, we invite you to help us share the live, and stay with us throughout our programming today.
Tobago because it has beautiful flora and fauna, biodiversity, beautiful scenery, beautiful villages and cultures.
Because the people are nice. My name is Zuma Chapman.
My name is Zaid Uwe.
My name is Rebecca Week.
My name is Mohammed Udin.
Kiara Stewart.
Kaylee Burnett. Jolie St. John.
Ochi Emmanuel.
JL Young.
Johanna Brown. Sarah Judah Spinney.
I love Tobago.
And I love Tobago.
What I love about Tobago,
I love Tobago because of its tradition,
because of the culture, the people, the history, the island itself.
I love Tobago for its beautiful beaches,
the beaches.
The beaches.
I love Tobago because of the hospitality of the people. Wherever you go on the island, someone's going to be there to greet you with a smile. They'll be going to assist you. They're so friendly, so helpful.
It's local food,
Great food.
The variety of local foods.
it's delicious foods and activities that it has.
Boat and crab racing.
And I truly love Tobago because of its diverse culture and the immense amount of activities one can do when they come to Tobago, such as carnival, going to the beaches, and heritage.
And also the Blue Food Festival.
What it holds, all down to the very provision and fruit. It is just amazing. And I love the fact that I was born on this island.
Crab and dumpling, and my favorite one of all, crab and callaloo.
Because of its smooth texture on the dumpling and the sweet spicy taste on the crab.
Overall, it's really tropical. It's a nice place, and for somebody who loves beaches like me, I love to go to the beach within 2 minutes away from home. Whereas Trinidad, it's so far to go to the beach.
Our culture, our hospitality, our heritage, I think that we are one of the most friendliest types of people that you can meet. Someone is always there to greet you with a smile, or a plate of food for like harvest and everything. So I think it's just that, and I really love this great little island.
It's a really fun place where you will enjoy your stay.
Tobago is known for being multicultural.
Although we are a geographically small destination, we leave such a large impact on the world because we harness so much talent and have such a diverse culture. The people that we produce on the island leave traces of Tobago wherever they go.
Happy Tobago Day!
need to be on a stable footing in order to help anyone else. So there are two things I would like us to be very mindful of as we go along in our day-to-day lives. And the first one is taking some time to yourself. You need to rest, you need to reflect, you need to plan, you need to re-strategize, and you need to know how you are going to go again. And the second one is one that most men find very difficult to do, and that is ask for help. Now, persons asking you for help is not an opportunity to put them down, but an opportunity to build them up.
What are some of the approaches that we could take to help treat with or not even get into a state of mental illness?
Involving yourself in a positive lifestyle. You see, we cannot eliminate risk. Everybody with me? We cannot eliminate risk, but we could reduce risk. And we could reduce risk by how we live, by the choices we make. Other than that, exercise. Exercise is important. Physical exercise is important because exercise helps the body produce something called endorphins, and endorphins are natural antidepressants.
Every decision you make is going to take your life down a particular road. If you make a bad decision, it will take your life down a bad road. If you take a good decision, it will take your life down a good road. So whenever you make a bad decision, your only recourse is to make a better decision than that bad decision. Decisions take you there, and decisions take you out.
Very informative. I must say that there's not enough forums for men to deal with like mental fitness, right? As men, you know, we tend to go through different trials, whether it's business-wise or family-wise, and we doesn't have enough forums to really strengthen men to know how to deal with different situations and circumstances. So this really sort of, for me, I really appreciate the mental fitness. I learned a lot from it.
I think that the program was good. I particularly enjoyed the mental fitness segment. I think it's very important for men to have that acknowledgement that sometimes they could go through difficult moments, and that they should be equipped with the skills to be able to deal with the pressures that come along with the difficulties that happens in life.
We might need to do this more than just once per year as we bring together our men, remembering, if nothing else, we form a critical part and foundation, whether it be in our families, whether it be in our homes, the workplaces, wheresoever we operate. And whether recognized or not, I don't want us to ever forget that foundation for the importance of setting the right examples in the lives of our children, in the lives of our families, and as I mentioned as well, wherever you may have that kind of influence as a man.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine has rated his administration's performance a 7 out of 10 as they commemorated 3 years in office. While satisfied with their achievements, Augustine remains determined to accomplish even more in their final year. Notable successes under his leadership include stabilizing Tobago's post-COVID economy, enhancing healthcare services, increasing social social grants, boosting agricultural productivity, and tackling land distribution issues. Augustine noted his team's commitment to transforming leadership, drawing contrast with previous regimes that dominated for 2 decades. Additionally, the opposition is anticipated to support Tobago's call for additional consultation on the 2 autonomy bills. Several United National Congress MPs, including MP Dinesh Rambali, opposed the legislation, criticizing the bill ahead of election. Rambali and other critics contended that the proposal for self-government and the creation of a Tobago Executive Council lack adequate consultation with Tobagonians and fail to address key demands for a federal-style governance structure. The bills, which require a special majority for passage, remain a point of contention. And finally, President of the Joint Consultative Council, Wazir Khan, emphasized the Office of the Procurement Legislature's responsibility in scrutinizing cost overruns on government contracts, including the A&R Robinson Airport Development Project in Tobago. Initially budgeted for $1.286 billion, the project's cost has risen to $1.7 billion, with $118 million attributed to overruns caused by COVID-19 delays and land acquisition challenges. Khan clarified, although the contract predated the OPR's full legal authority, the regulator is empowered to review, report, and if necessary, pursue actions in cases of misuse of public funds. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Now, this morning we are going to have some extremely interesting discussions, and a discussion that is extremely timely at that, as today we have heard that the Tobago Autonomy Bill would be before the Parliament for a vote. And so this morning we are chatting about that and the implications of that for Tobago with Dr. Maria Dillon Remy. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel, and thanks for having me.
Now, this is so serious that it couldn't get more serious than this morning. There has been conversations for the last, let's say, 2 months since the Prime Minister indicated that the bill will soon be before the Parliament, but many persons were unaware of how soon that would be. And now we're hearing just a few days ago that today is when that bill is going to come to a vote before the Parliament. Can you tell us about the lead up to us getting here?
Okay, Chanel, I would just like to say first that I am happy that it has been brought back for discussion. And that is because it has been, I call it lying in state. It has been in the House since that discussion when it ended in July. July? Yeah, I think it was July. When it ended in July 2021, it has remained at committee stage. And importantly, and I think I'm happy that it has been carried over each year. So it has been on the House of Representatives order paper since 2021. It never came off the order paper. I thought that it had come off, but it never came off the order paper. But I was pushing for this thing to be discussed before this time. And I'm just saying, I am happy that it has been brought back for discussion. However, I'm a little unhappy that it is coming at a time which I consider contentious. My understanding is that this bill or these bills require sober discussion around the table where people are able to listen to one another and also be able to make discussions and decisions based on what is important for both Tobago and for Trinidad and Tobago. And I am hoping that will happen, but I'm concerned that it's happening about this time. Right. Actually, Chanel, in 2022 and 2023, And even this year, I've been writing about this, saying, please bring this back for discussion. Don't leave it for this contentious time. It is too important a bill for Tobago and also for Trinidad and Tobago.
And Dr. Remy, as Senator in the Parliament, persons often say that you are the one true Tobagonian in the Parliament, because every time you get the opportunity to, you always bring up that Tobago Autonomy bill and the importance of considering it even when there are discussions surrounding the budget allocation.
Yes.
You have continued to echo the sentiments of key voices in Tobago, not just your own, and you have somewhat taken the baton of those that went on before you to continue to always be advocating for Tobago's autonomy. And so I can see that it grieves your heart that this is now being used as somewhat of a political football. And during this time, as you indicated, the discussions are needed. So do you think that a halt needs to be placed at this time?
Okay, I would not say that a halt needs to be placed. I would say I'm happy that it's on. My understanding is that there needs to be amendments based on the fact that Tobago had said that they, and when I say Tobago, let me just go back a little. Since 2021, I have been trying to get the Tobago House of Assembly, i.e. more than one groups in Tobago, to say, listen, these are the changes we would like to see, because at that time, it was said that you are able to still make adjustments. You will still make the recommended amendments, because until such time as it's discussed on the floor, you can make amendments. So, and they did. There was I facilitated meetings with the then PNM, the Mr. Charles, and the PDP at the time, because this was when the 6-6 was in the thing and they did not have. So they did, and they did send down some recommended changes. The PNM said, listen, we are comfortable with this bill as it is, so we are not going to be a part of this recommendation, but at least the PDP and represented by then, he was not Chief Secretary then, but then Representative Assemblyman Augustine and Mr. Charles, they would have sent to the Parliament what they considered important in terms of recommendation. Also, in February this year, and this was after Mr. Ho-Choi Charles's funeral, and both the Mr. Augustine, then Chief Secretary, and the Prime Minister said that they wanted to see this matter come up again. And in February of this year, Mr. Augustine would have sent to the members of the House, and it would have been copied to all members of the Senate, what they considered appropriate in terms of recommendations. I do not know whether those recommendations were discussed in the Assembly legislature. I thought they should have been. And why I'm saying that is because when the bill initially went down, it was not, PNM was in charge of the Assembly legislature then, but it was not a PNM bill that went down. It went down from, it was passed by the Assembly legislature, but the consideration for the other parties, like Mr. Charles, and they were there. So that went down as from Tobago. And I thought these amendments needed also to come from Tobago. So I was hoping that they would have they would have brought the amendments as coming from now the legislature of Tobago saying that these are the amendments that we want to see. So it wouldn't be seen that it is now, you know, PDP or with whatever the party now in power in Tobago siding with the UNC. That is not what we want now. And the other thing I would want to say is that the PNM cannot give Tobago self-government in the way that we want to. That's because it requires a majority. And the only way that could happen is if Tobago has, if PNM or any other party has that majority that could change the constitution, which they don't have. Neither party has that, and therefore you need to have the negotiation. So you need to have negotiations with government and opposition in any form that it comes in, and you also need to hear from the Tobago House of Assembly, the Tobago Legislature. And that is what I thought would have happened in between 2021 and now. However, the fact that it is happening now, I am taking it. And I'm praying that something happens. What am I wanting to come out of this? Not necessarily today, because I don't know that all of this can happen today, but it will all, I'm not in the House, so I don't know. But I hope that the amendments would be, the proposed amendments that came from Tobago would be addressed, and they can be addressed right now on the floor, or they can be sent back to, they say, okay, right, they may say that this is too, let's go back to they may do that, I don't know. But my understanding is that the amendment should be considered and that at the end of it, a vote should be taken. And my hope and prayer is that at the end of it, a bill that is passed that is more in keeping with there's an agreement of all the three parties, Tobago, the government, and the opposition, be sent up to the Senate, where it also has to be debated. And in the Senate, you also need the agreement of independent senators, because government and opposition cannot pass it. You need the agreement of independent senators also. So this is what I would hope will happen today.
Right.
So,
and have you had conversations with any of the MPs for Tobago East and West on this position that you have in regards to some of the amendments being made on the floor?
No, I didn't have any conversation with them. What I know though is that they have said that from what I heard in the news, that they're willing to look at amendments. They, meaning the government, is willing to look at amendments. And I've heard also from the opposition, at least MP Rambali, as it was said, Dinesh Rambali, he said that he's not going to support the bill as it is. The bill as it is what is presented to the Parliament. Mm-hmm. The Parliament can say, listen, we accept it and vote so. Or we can say, listen, we need these adjustments and vote so. And this is what I think is required right now.
Excellent. And when it comes to the voices in Tobago who are often speaking up on this Tobago autonomy issue, what do you think is important for the important message that should come out of Tobago as we speak, so that colleagues at the central government level truly understand the importance of this bill to Tobagonians?
Well, I think they should understand by now the importance of this Tobago, because, I mean, everyone knows what has happened over the last several years. And even as I had heard Mr. Jack talking about going back to APT James in 1954, the union has been an uneasy one for years. And attempts have been made to make it easier. The attempts were made in 1977, resulting in the Act 40 of the Act of 1980. Again, the amendments were proposed 96, and now it is being done again with an interim one in 2013 that would have gone to the Parliament it did not get the approval of Tobago. It was not just the opposition. Tobago did not approve of it. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that, having said all of that, it is important that they do have the discussions, and it is also important that they come to some kind of resolution. There are certain things that I consider non-negotiable.
Okay.
One is Tobago must get legislative authority over the areas that they have jurisdiction over. So whichever schedule, the name of the schedule is, for instance, like health and social services, etc., Tobago should have legislative authority. And they should not have the ability for cabinet to, because what is happening now is the cabinet can come and say, no, we don't need this, and that's because that's because what the Constitution now says. I would not like to see that be removed or that not be given to Tobago. There are many other things that are negotiable. For instance, the matter that concerns the delineation of what is Tobago and what is Trinidad in the Constitution. It was discussed at the Joint Select Committee, and there were legal opinions that were given. My understanding of it is that if it's delineated like that in the Constitution, you have issues to deal with in terms of international law. To me, that is something that needs to be discussed on the table, and you agree or disagree with it. But it's not something I can have my opinion, which I don't, because it's a highly constitutional and legal matter. I don't. but we were guided by, and you can go on the website and see, on Parliament's website, you see there's a Queen's Counsel, Mr. Bart, who would have given all those things were discussed. So it is not as though, let's say, Tobago sent down something which they wanted, and then the Parliament just decided that they were going to send something else. It was after discussion. And if Tobago is still not in agreement with that, bring it to the Parliament and let the Parliament decide. Because at the end of the day, this is where the law is made. And so in what was presented in the report did not include what Tobago said it wanted at that point in time because of the understanding and the legal advice. The other thing too is that we keep the understanding of whether we want a federation or not. A federation did not come to the Parliament. It was discussed in Tobago, and again, this is where democracy comes in. It was discussed in Tobago, but when it reached to the Assembly, when the bill was debated in the Assembly, that was not one of the things that came forward.
But this is something that the opposition is holding on to right now.
It is being held on to right now. But what I'm saying, it is unfair to bring that back now when the bill that was sent from Tobago House of Assembly legislature to the Cabinet, which came to the Joint Select Committee, did not include a federal system. And I'm saying it is probably for discussion again, but that is not this was not one of the things that was discussed in any great detail, because it was not what came from Tobago, that they wanted a federal system. A federal system, my understanding, it means that there's a Tobago, there's a Trinidad as defined, and there's a Trinidad and Tobago. So you have to have a legislator for Tobago, a legislator for Trinidad, and then a legislator for Trinidad and Tobago, as what happens in the United States. There's a federal system in the United States, and then you have, the states have their own governance. And the federal governance overrides the local government, but that is not what was asked for. And even people talk about St. Kitts and Nevis being a federation. It isn't a true federation like that. Nevis has its island government, and Nevis makes its laws, but there is no the government is a government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and there is representative of the government in the Parliament. There's a representative in Parliament from Nevis, similarly to what we kind of have here.
Excellent. We're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back with much more on this discussion. So, guys, see you soon.
It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a...
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
This Christmas, believe in magic. Enjoy our comforting deals on furniture that'll leave your loved ones in awe. Only at Standard.
Unwrap the magic of Christmas and have the best Christmas ever with a Christmas Wishes loan from Bethel Credit Union.
Up to $20,000 can be yours, so you can take care of all those Christmas expenses. You could even pay off all your debts and your credit card.
Come on down to where we make wishes come through, because we see you
at BCU.
Visit any of our offices today at 31 Bethlehem Road, Bethel, Tobago, or Mount Mary Lower, Scarborough, Tobago.
You can contact us at 639-8226-660-7358 or 631-1336.
Normal lending criteria apply. Think, plan, save with Bethel Credit Union.
Because we see you at BCU. We see you at BCU. Come on down, get a loan or two, cause we see you this Christmas at BCU.
Are you
thinking about spending Christmas in Tobago? Well, call us at Thorns Place. We are located at the hills of Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port, with rooms starting at 200 TT. Call us now at 745-7306 or 682-8676. Follow us on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram. Message us on WhatsApp at Thorns Place. Your Christmas in Tobago will be even more special.
Please be advised that the date and venue for the Tobago Day Thanksgiving service have been changed to Thursday, December 19th at the Shaw Park Complex. Start time 9 a.m. Come give thanks with us as we continue our Tobago Day celebration.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, if you are just joining us, then that's so sad because we have been having a really extensive conversation actually on the Tobago Autonomy Bill that's coming before the Parliament for a vote today. And I've been having this conversation with Senator Dr. Maria Dillon Remy. And, you know, she is known as the true Tobagonian in the Parliament because she's someone who always stands up and advocates for Tobago and Tobago's autonomy. Regardless of what is being discussed, she makes sure that she inserts that in there somehow, some way. And so we always want to thank you for that level of representation without fear and without favor. But there has been a number of misconceptions that have been circulating surrounding this bill that has instilled a bit of fear into Tobagonians when it comes to supporting. And there has also been misconceptions on the side of supporting the bill, right? So are there some of those things that you want to clear up this morning and ensure that Tobagonians have a clearer picture on what we are truly getting with this bill?
Okay. One of the things I think I'd like to clear up, I've heard, and it was just in the discussion I heard when I was coming in the car, that the bill offers the delineation of Tobago in terms of their ability to be in control of or make laws for, that would be 8 miles. The current bill delineates the lawmaking power for Tobago to 11 miles, is not 8. Initially, 8 may have been on the cards, but the bill talks about 11 miles. I know one of the areas for discussion in that it is whether Tobago just have administrative powers over that area in terms of lawmaking, or is it administrative and legal making? In other words, you can make your laws, not just administer laws, but you can make your laws. My understanding is that what was requested is that it should be lawmaking powers. And again, if that's contentious, that is something that could be put on the table for discussion. That was one of them. Another one was the 6%, 8%, and all that has been bandied about. I just want to say, one, there is a fiscal review commission, I think it was called, and that you can take that to the commission at any point in time. In other words, what was put in the bill was a minimum of 6.8%. In other words, it's not a maximum. So it could be 8, it could be 10. So, but you have to negotiate that. I know that was one, that has been one of the concerns that people have been talking about. But and there's also another a concept that has come up about Tobago's resources that are available, in other words, in Tobago's seabed, and having an opportunity to get a certain percentage of that back into Tobago's, in other words, the allocation that you're giving us. Please consider that we have oil, we have gas, etc. That is something that was not considered here, but is something that could be discussed at the same Fiscal Review Commission, because this is where the decision as to what the percentage of the budget would be for that particular year. So I'm saying there are mechanisms in there to be able to bring that position that, listen, 6% or 8% is not enough for this year. But I also want to say that people are talking about what percentage is enough. A percentage that is enough must be based on what you have to do. For instance, people are saying 6.8% is going to give us another 4 million to do what we have, 4 billion to do what we, or about 4 billion to do what we are doing right now. But just remember, when this bill is passed, and remember, and you hear me, Chanel, yeah. I'm not saying if. When this bill is passed, Tobago will have much more activities to take place, much more responsibility. So you will need to be bringing in people, your whole legal department, you're dealing with Registrar General, etc. All those people that you have to bring in will have a cost. So the 6.8% may not be enough. So as we speak about whether the percentage and stuff like that, I know we have a minimum, and I know you have the ability to review on a yearly basis what that percentage should be. And I think that's important.
Right. And I remember in conversations with the MP for Tobago West, Ms. Shamfa Kajo Lewis, she pulled up the national gas company's map of oil and gas in Trinidad and Tobago, and she would have indicated that although we have gas in Tobago's waters, as we might consider, there is hardly any or none at all when you look at the green spots, which indicate where there is oil.
Right.
And so she was saying, if we do separate it like that and Tobago gets what it deserves in terms of the gas that is found in Tobago waters, would we then be relinquishing authority or the ability to benefit from the oil and gas that's in Trinidad and Tobago water? So I look forward to hearing, that argument develop some more on both sides on, what is in which waters and how does it benefit Tobago versus how it benefits Trinidad versus how it benefits Tobago.
Right, but Chanel, that discussion wouldn't be coming up today. You won't have that kind of discussion today because you're discussing clauses of a bill, and the question is if that's what they discuss, if probably it goes back and for a further, like, let's say, consideration of specific amendments that were proposed by Tobago, probably if it goes back, you may have that kind of discussion that may come in, but that wouldn't be discussed today. And that has been discussed for a long while.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that we touched on a bit, even while we were offset, is the outcome and what that means for Tobago, for Tobagonians, and the work that has been done. So in a situation where this bill is passed today, what does that mean for Tobagonians? Some persons are saying, well, immediately we know that this is going to trigger the call of another election. What can Tobagonians or the wider world looking on this morning expect coming out of the passing of this bill today in its current state?
Okay, if the bill gets passed with the amendments, I keep saying that with the amendments because I do think that the amendments should be considered. If the bill gets passed, it first has to come to the Senate. When it comes to the Senate has to also agree to what is presented for it. So it cannot be done. You wouldn't have a decision today that means that the bill is passed today. That's one. Secondly, is that usually, and there's a clause in the bill about the assent of the president. A bill could be passed and it does not become a law until it's assented by the president. And you have to have assent by the president. And the assent by the president will happen when they agree that, listen, it is time enough that this can happen. So there will be the need for, whenever it's assented to, that there will be need for new elections, because it then replaces the current act. The current act will be replaced. So there would need to be a new elections and stuff like that. But that would not be tomorrow or the next day. But at a time that's agreed to, that listen, this is possible now, because lawmaking powers, you don't just get up overnight and make law. We are not making laws in Tobago now. You require not just the people to support, like the Law Reform Commission, the parliamentary, the CPC that they have in Trinidad. These are all the people. The parliamentarians are not the one who does all these things, This is done by the staff, in this case of the Attorney General's office. And they are the ones who do all the thing and all the research. And Parliament, when the committees meet, they meet and consider what they have brought. So all that would need to be put into place. So this would not happen overnight, Chanel.
Excellent. And looking at it from the other perspective, if this is not passed today, if it's just shut down, what does that say for Tobago, for Tobagonians, and the work that has been put in this for so many years?
Chanel, if it does not get past the House, and I'm saying it doesn't have to be today, we could be some other day too. If it does not get past the House and it gets shut down in the House, then that's it. For me, my concern would be another 40 years or plus, because the discussions have been going on for a long time. And if it does not happen now, then when? I've heard the Chief Secretary talk about going to international organizations, and this sentiment was also expressed by Mr. Charles when he was alive. He used to talk about, if you don't want to give us, we'll have to go to the international bodies. And perhaps that is where Tobago may want to go. I do not know. But in terms of the current process where this is being done through the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, if it's shut down now, first, as I said before, it's not something I would like to see. But if it happens, my concern would be that it will take another several years to come back to this stage.
When it comes to the amendments that are being suggested, and the idea that these can be done on the floor or going back to committee stage, do you think that the other Tobago representatives in the Parliament have a duty to also echo this sentiment? I
know from what I've heard from the representatives that amendments are possible. I don't know about going back to a committee stage or anything. That will depend on parliamentary procedure, and I'm not sure about that. But certainly, as for instance today, there will be no more debate on the bill or what was presented in Parliament, because it has already reached to the stage of committee. What happens in a committee stage? A committee of the whole Parliament is that you go through the bill clause by clause. So it is in that space you can suggest amendments. The question is whether those amendments are going to be considered, whether they will be accepted or rejected. And therefore, at the end of the day, when the vote comes, whether the vote will be for or against the bill.
All right. But guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back with much more on this Tobago autonomy discussion. See you soon.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning.
Get ready for the most magical event of the season. The Tobago Gospel Promoters proudly presents Christmas Village. Christmas Village. Everything Christmas at the Scarborough Esplanade, Tobago. From the 18th to the 21st of December, 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. 4 nights of live entertainment. Los Cantantes de Jesus. And from Tobago, El Corazon de Parang, Blessed Messenger, Janex, Bijon Pier, choirs, steel bands, and dance from across Tobago, and our featured drama production. It's a Christmas production you don't want to miss. From toys to curtains, wines, ginger bear, cake, and a kids zone. 4 days of everything Christmas. For all interested vendors, please contact 392-4060. And for general information on Christmas Village, 786-8736.
We coming together, me and my family, we eating together.
It's the season of unforgettable, magical moments together. A song that reminds us of how our love blossomed. The warm, comforting smell of Christmas Day that brings us together. That feeling of comfort when our loved ones see the magic happening before their eyes. This Christmas, believe in magic, only at Standard.
I love Tobago because it has beautiful flora and fauna, biodiversity,
Beautiful scenery, beautiful villages and cultures.
because the people is nice. My name is Zuma Chapman. My name.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. Now, today is a big day for Tobago and Tobagonians worldwide because that Tobago Autonomy Bill is coming before the Parliament for a vote today. And this morning we have been chatting with Senator Dr. Marie Dillon Remy, and we have just been going through, the reasons why this thing needs to be amended and passed today, or at least given consideration for more recommendations that is in greater alignment with what Tobagonians on a whole are saying that they want. So, to clarify for persons who are thinking that you are just saying accept the bill, pass the bill today for all the work that Tobago has done in the past, you are saying we want it passed. Yes, we do, because we don't want to go back in time, 40 years, right? 44 at that. But there are certain things that need to be considered. And this is a position that I have agreed with and echoed even here on this platform, that unity is so necessary during this time. This is literally the time where political colors have to come off and the true Tobagonian has to come out, in such a way where persons are able to put to the side how they feel about each other and say all children and all children's children should not be fighting for Tobago autonomy, right? Because it would have been long overdue. And so even as you have made your statements this morning and you have made your recommendations and, you've stood on your position, is there anything that you want to say to Tobagonians, to the wider world listening, and to your parliamentary colleagues this morning as this bill goes before the Parliament?
To the members of the House, I would like them to seriously consider that this is not something to just reject or vote in as it is, but that they should give it serious consideration, clause by clause. I would really like to see them do that because it is important for Tobago. I would also want them to specifically consider the amendments that have been sent down by the Tobago House of Assembly. But there may be amendments circulated to by the government or by the opposition. So it should have a full and robust discussion. And at the end of the day, they should have something coming to the Senate, being sent to the Senate, that they would have agreed upon, that includes legislative making power for Tobago. To me, that's non-negotiable. I had heard actually, Chanel, somebody saying that the government intends to pull all the things that do not require the majority, so that they don't have to have the vote of the opposition.
Right.
Absolutely no way that should be, those things should be pulled. Watering it down does not make sense, and that should not be. Legislative authority, the putting in the Constitution what is necessary for Tobago, all those nice things must be done. is my understanding. We prepared to, when I say be prepared to, there are certain things that you would not necessarily agree on, but it should not be things like that.
So then what about the fellow Tobagonians looking on today as this bill comes to the
Fellow Tobagonians looking on today, this is about Tobago. And yes, we do have the differences, and nothing is wrong with the way we think may be different. I look at a ball and you seeing 3 colors, I seeing 3 colors. But at the end of the day, it should not be disrespecting you to say that you don't agree with me. Fellow Tobagonians, we should be vested in what happens. It should not be seen at the end of the day that this is from PNM or this is from UNC or this is from PDP. Nobody can win if it's seen like that. However, if people look at it, I have a vested interest, as the government in Tobago has a vested interest. The government in Trinidad also has a vested interest. Government and opposition vested interest in Trinidad and Tobago being better by Tobago being able to carve out its space appropriately in the union that is Trinidad and Tobago. So Tobago, please ask your people to do exactly that. Don't just dismiss it.
Excellent. We want to thank you so much, Senator Dr. Maria Dillon Remy. And again, thank you for all the work that you have been doing. Some people say it's thankless work, you know, sleepless nights and thankless work, but you continue to do it and you continue to wave that Tobago flag genuinely from your heart each and every time. Again, as I just said before, every time there's a discussion and you have the opportunity to speak, you find some way to fit Tobago and Tobago's autonomy in there.
Absolutely, because it's very important.
And so we thank you for that. The conversation is never dead at the parliamentary level once you are speaking.
Yeah.
So we thank you. And guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. This morning, we do not wrap up here, but we go straight over to the nation's address being given by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine this morning. So good morning, and have a great day as you continue by listening to that address.
We special and there is no denying Tobago is #1. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Tobago, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And I thank you for joining me for such a last-minute conversation on the Tobago Amendment, or Tobago Autonomy conversation, rather. I am here at this hour in the morning because, as you may have been aware, last week, Thursday, the Tobago bills were placed on the order paper of the lower house, and those bills are to be debated today, or debated this morning at 10 a.m. More so, I wish to share with you the fact that we have not had any real conversation with the government or members of the National Parliament. I am hopeful that the Prime Minister in particular, who is moving the Constitution Amendment, Tobago Self-Government Bill 2021, that he will see an aid memo that I am going to send immediately to both himself and the opposition leader to ensure that these matters make their way into the National Parliament. I will be referring extensively to my notes this morning because I don't want to miss anything at all in this conversation. We are live, I believe, on Tobago Channel 5 and Tobago Updates. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and there should be a delayed broadcast on national television. But we are certainly going to ensure that this conversation is had across the space this morning, so that when members of the the Parliament go into the House, they will be apprised of the Tobago position. I want to also point out that there may very well be a disconnect between what the central government is doing and what their party members in Tobago are doing. Because the minority leader not so long ago wrote me asking for us to have a bipartisan approach to then approach the Parliament. It's interesting that he asked for a bipartisan approach, and today they are going to debate the bills without careful allowing considerable conversations in the Tobago space. So I want to go through the proposed amendments. And over the weekend, between Friday and today, I had significant conversations with members of the Advisory Council and the legal department to ensure that these proposed amendments are in line with what Tobagonians have always said that they wanted. And so these are the amendments we are going to ask for. We are asking the Parliament to consider. I will make this aid memo available to all members of the media. I will also make this aid memo available online, posted online on the Office of the Chief Secretary's page, on my own Facebook page, and I will also ensure that it is sent to both the Prime Minister and the opposition leader. So here are the proposed amendments. So we propose the following amendments. Firstly, to the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2021. Please note that there are two bills. The Prime Minister is moving the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2021, while a Member of Parliament, Robinson Regis, will be moving the Tobago Island Government Bill. The first seeks to alter the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to make provisions for the new authority that will be enshrined in the Tobago House of Assembly. And the second seeks to detail how the government will be structured here on the island of Tobago. So let's go through the first one. So in the first instance, the first amendment we propose must be to Clause 4 of the Constitution Amendment, or the Constitution Amendments, or the Tobago Self-Government Bill 2021. And the Clause 4 amendments seek to provide for equality of status between the islands. It is important to note that the imperial orders back in 1888 and 1889 that decreed Tobago a ward of Trinidad initially and subsequently as a ward of Trinidad and Tobago in 1898, that still exists. Therefore, this equality of status relates to the administrative and institutional processes that do not regulate Tobago to an inferior status in relation to Trinidad. For the equality between the two islands to become a reality, the institutions governing the island of Tobago must be real, not illusionary. The authority to make and execute law and policy in Tobago, that must be real. This ability based on the different socio-economic and cultural ecosystems of the island of Tobago will give life to the right to self-determination as stated in Article 1 and 2 of the UN Charter and reiterated in international instruments such as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights in an internal context. So in other words, I'm saying quite clearly to everyone that they ought to be enshrined in the Constitution, stated very clearly that there is equality of status between the both islands. That has to be clear. It has to be stated there, because essentially the 1888 and 1889 declarations, they remain as is until, save and except, we place quite clearly into the constitution this matter of equality of status between the both islands. Both islands are equal in this relationship, and that must be stated in the constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Then we look at clause 4, and in clause 4 I'm asking members to delete from line 4, well, that's clause 4.1, to delete from that area the word freely and place it in line 3 before the word determine, and delete from line 3 the expression in Tobago. Also from clause 4.2, I'm asking that from line 1 we delete the expression the people of, and line 2 also delete the people of, and then proceed to delete everything after Tobago in line 2. And if you are confused, all you need to do is pull the actual bills that were littered across the island and that are available online. But in the interest of time, I will simply go through the amendments I wish to be made. We ought to delete the amended clause 4 from the preamble and place it in the rights enshrined in section 4 of the Constitution. Please note that the preamble is not a legally enforceable part of the Constitution. So essentially, we are asking that clause 4 that is now in the preamble of the Constitutional Amendment Bill, or the Tobago Bill that the Prime Minister will present, that should be removed from the preamble and placed in section 4 of the Constitution. With regards to clause 5b, we are asking that you delete the lines for the purpose all the way to internal and inland waters of Tobago, and then add the following. And this is about defining Tobago. This must be in the Constitution. And then add the Tobago Island government shall exercise exclusive lawmaking powers, and the Tobago Executive Council shall exercise exclusive administrative jurisdiction over the matters listed in the 4th schedule over the island of Tobago, Little Tobago, St. Giles Island, Marble Island, Goat Island, Sisters Island, and the inland waters and such part of the internal waters and the territorial sea of Trinidad and Tobago measured seaward from the low water mark up to a distance of 11 nautical miles from the nearest point of that low water mark. Close quotation. Now, this delineation of the jurisdiction of and legislative and administrative jurisdiction in Tobago is proposed bearing in mind that the Republican Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, Section 3, defines Trinidad and Tobago as Trinidad and Tobago has the meaning attributed that expressed in the Trinidad and Tobago Independence Act 1962. Now, Trinidad and Tobago Independence Act 1962 and the 1962 Chapter 5410 and 11, 6410 and 11 basically states that Trinidad and Tobago means the island of Trinidad, the island of Tobago, and any territories which at the passing of this act are dependencies of the colony of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I want you to listen to this carefully. When we review the 1962 Constitution, it reveals that at independence, the following were in fact the definitions of Trinidad and Tobago. When we look at section 18.1 and the second schedule, clause 5, it says, and this is at 1962, in other words, when we became an independent nation, this was the actual definition, which later changed with the Republican Constitution. So at 1962, section 18.1 and second schedule, clause 5, it said that Tobago means the island of Tobago and the territorial waters thereof, and Trinidad means the island of Trinidad and the territorial waters thereof. And section 105 said that Trinidad and Tobago has the meaning attributed to that expression in Trinidad and Tobago Independence Act 1962. In other words, at independence in 1962, the demarcation of the island of Tobago included the territorial waters. I want it to be clear, when we became an independent nation, the definition of Tobago at that time in our Act at Independence included, for Tobago's definition, its territorial waters, acknowledging that Trinidad and Tobago is in fact an archipelagic state, and noting that the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea 1982 allows the states to make their own internal arrangements regarding their territorial waters, while recognizing the right to innocent passage. The advice of Gerald Thompson, the former ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary, is observed there. He recommended that the jurisdiction of Tobago could extend to an area up to 11 miles of the territorial sea bordering Tobago. The limit of 11 miles is due to the proximity between the northeast tip of Trinidad and the southwest coast of Tobago. It should be noted that Justice Anthony Locke advised against changing the definition of Trinidad and Tobago in the Constitution. Now, the proposal is for the jurisdiction of the Tobago legislature and the Executive Council to be stated clearly while the definition remains. Clause 8, and perhaps before I go into Clause 8, I want to share with you a statement from former Chief Secretary Mr. Orville London, and I'll ask that we cue that video, because you will see Mr. London explaining quite clearly, and this might have been around 2013, 2014, explaining quite clearly the Tobago position and why it is extremely or inordinately important for, as we define the jurisdiction. So while some legal minds say it's okay to define Tobago and its territorial waters, define Trinidad and its territorial waters, and others are saying, don't do that, we are saying clearly, we must define the jurisdiction of the new Tobago Island government. It be clear where the jurisdiction will lie, and that jurisdiction must be in keeping with international law, particularly international law of the sea. And so I want to cue a video from former Chief Secretary Mr. Orville London. Do we have that video ready that we can show now?
We as Tobagonians define what is Tobago. Based on the present Tobago House of Assembly Act, this is what is Tobago. Tobago's landmass, and then the 6 miles surrounding it, this is Tobago. Because Tobago, like any other island or any other country, is defined by its both its landmass and its marine area. Now, if one were to take what the green paper indicates as Tobago, which is 10 nautical miles, this will have been Tobago, just a little bit bigger than it is at present. But if one were to use the definition as included in the bills, the definition that says we are defining Tobago, because the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago identifies the island of Tobago and the island of Trinidad. If one were to use international law, as has been suggested in the bills before the House, instead of Tobago being defined as it is at present at 6 nautical miles, or defined as it is in the green paper as 10 nautical miles, all of this in red would have been Tobago, would be Tobago. In other words, we have a situation where this is Trinidad and Tobago based on the last ruling when we had the dispute between Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. If one were to use the international demarcation, this would in fact be what is Tobago, and this will be what is Trinidad, its landmass and its marine resources.
Thank you very much for that throwback to former Chief Secretary Mr. Orville London. We want to make it clear that the Constitution Amendment Bill must include a very clear sense of where the jurisdiction of the New Tobago Island government will be. And I just stated it, and I stated it in keeping with international law, in particular international law of the sea. And you know, what's interesting is that currently Act 40 of 1996 gives the THA up to 6 miles of remit. What is being proposed is 0. I want you to understand that. What is being proposed is 0, which will very well mean that if we want to build a jetty, we might need permission from central government. If we want to do something with the fisher folk in Tobago, we might need permission from central government. We want to do marine parks, we have to go back to central government. And I'm saying we cannot move forward and advance this matter and reduce or completely take away powers and authority that we now have. It will not make sense to pass something that gives us less than what we have right now. I want to look at clause 8, and we're almost there. Clause 8 in what is being proposed. So clause 8 deals with lawmaking authority. Now, while clause 8 of the Constitution Amendment Bill provides for the lawmaking authority, the matters which the Tobago Island government is responsible is listed in a schedule that's attached to the Tobago Island government bill. The people of Tobago are of the view that these matters should be entrenched in the Constitution. Placing them in the Tobago Island government bill has the effect of making the laws passed by the Tobago Island government subordinate to national laws, consequently making them inferior and not of equal status. And so we propose the following amendments to clause 8.2 of the Constitutional Amendment Bill. It should read, subject to sections 1 and 2, the Tobago legislature may make laws for the peace, order, and good government in Tobago with respect to the matters set out in the 4th schedule. Of note is the jurisdiction for lawmaking under the bills confined the Tobago Island government to the land area only. It cannot make laws to govern activities in the marine area, such as Buku Reef, Pigeon Point, or Speyside. And we must add a new section which must say more or less that the Tobago House of Assembly shall within 9 calendar months after the commencement of this Constitution Amendment, Tobago Self-Government Act 2024, and after due consultations with the people of Tobago, pass an assembly law establishing the structure, composition, and functions of the Tobago Island government. I want to pause there for a while because there are 2 important things there that you must pay attention to. One is that currently the areas over which the Tobago Island government will have remit is only placed in the Tobago Island government bill. That requires a simple majority. And so by not enshrining those areas in the Constitution, it means 2 things. It means 1, any sort of law passed here in Tobago will be inferior to anything passed nationally. And so we will end up with legal conflicts that are unnecessary. Secondly, it means that any government any day could walk in the parliament and decide, okay, I don't like how the Tobago House of Assembly and the people of Tobago or the Tobago Island government, how they are treating with a matter on the island of Tobago, and so I'm going to go and take away the right of the Tobago Island government to perhaps pass a law concerning youth or community development. Because if it's only placed in the Tobago Island government bill, all a government will require is a simple majority, and they can just take away some of the rights and the responsibilities as given. So we ought to enshrine it in the Constitution for two reasons, as I stated before. One, to allow for parity and ensure that the laws passed by the Tobago Island government have legal clout. And two, to ensure that no future government, if they vex, if they hate the government, if they lose the election in Tobago, could decide to take away some of these rights and responsibility. And next, I pointed out quite clearly that at this very moment, if the bills are passed as they are, then we can't even pass legislation or policy to govern marine parks in Tobago. We can't even go up to Speyside, where we are experiencing extremely warm, wet waters, where we are experiencing bleaching, coral bleaching like never before, and decide to protect and see if we could save this largest brain coral. We won't be able to do that. We will still have to go down to Trinidad and beg somebody and ask somebody down there to make it a priority. And even while I'm at it, I remind you that in November 2021, we sat here in Tobago and sent down a bill to Parliament. And we sent down that bill to Parliament so that we will be able to make policy concerning marine parks here in Tobago. This is December 2024. 3 years and almost a month later, and up to now, that bill ain't reached the Parliament floor. And I'm saying, if we are going to do this thing, let us do it right. Let us do it right. And therefore, we have to enshrine into the constitutional amendment bill these particular areas so that it can't be tampered with, and so that the Tobago Island government and the people of Tobago will have the right to make laws not just over the 116 square miles, but a portion of our marine space. I want to go back to where I said that subject to sections 1 and 2 of the Tobago legislature, 1 and 2, the Tobago legislature, may make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Tobago with respect to matters set out in the 4th schedule. And I ask that a new section be added, and that new section should state more or less, and this is a suggestion, that the Tobago House of Assembly shall within 9 calendar months after the commencement of this constitutional amendment, Tobago Self-Government Act 2024, and after due consultations with the people of Tobago, pass an assembly law establishing the structure, composition, and functions of the Tobago Island government. Now, the rationale for this new section is in keeping with basic human right to self-determination. By internal self-determination, it is meant for participatory democracy, the right to decide the form and identity of rulers by the whole population of a state, and the right of a particular group within the state to participate in decision making at the state level. Internal self-determination can also mean that right to exercise cultural, linguistic, religious, of territorial political autonomy within the boundaries of the existing state, and that's according to United Nations. Furthermore, the matters to which the Tobago legislature has exclusive lawmaking powers should not be less than what is provided for in the current 5th schedule of Act 40 of 1996. Now, Clause 8, Section 53 of the Constitution, line 3, we should delete the following, delete the phrase "as prescribed" and include in the 4th schedule and amend 6, delete 4 and 7, and we should insert a 4th schedule as the 2013 and 2016 bills respectively did, and as promised by the Honorable Keith Rowley in 2018. The 4th schedule will enumerate the functions of the Tobago Island government that include both executive and legislative responsibilities, thereby removing the dual set of schedules and combining them into one schedule to be placed in the Constitution. And if we look at clause 11A1B, line 2, we delete the line as prescribed and include in the fourth schedule. And we are asking that we do not repeal sections 141D of the Constitution. The Tobago House of Assembly Fund is currently in the Constitution at section 141D. The bills actually seek to move it to the Tobago Island Government Bill. We propose that it remains in the Constitution and that sections 30 to 37 be removed from the Tobago Island Government Bill and placed in the Constitution Amendment Bill as follows. Don't worry, I'll go over all of this so you'll be very clear to the layman. 141 S1, and it should state, there shall be a fund called the Tobago Fund, which shall consist of A, such monies as shall be appropriated by Parliament for the use of Tobago Island Government, and B, such other monies as the Tobago Island Government may lawfully collect, borrow, or be granted, and 2, monies appropriated by Parliament for the service of the financial year of the Tobago House of Assembly shall be credited to the Tobago Fund in quarterly releases in advance or en bloc. And then we look at 141T, that notwithstanding section 13 of the Exchequer and Audit Act, all revenue collected in Tobago on behalf of the government and payable thereto in respect of activities undertaken or discharged in Tobago shall be paid into the Tobago Fund. Now, this is not strange, because currently in Act 40 of 1996, all revenues collected on the island on behalf of the government should be remitted to Tobago through the fund, in the Tobago fund account. And then part 2, upon the coming into force of this act, any company, financial institution, or a person operating a business in Tobago shall pay in Tobago all taxes, fees, duties, levies, and other imposts in respect of its operations in Tobago. This currently exists in Act 40 of 1996. We are just moving these things to the Constitution now. That's our recommendation. Thirdly, money is credited to the Tobago Fund in accordance with sections 1 and 2 shall be set off against the annual allocation appropriated by Parliament to the Tobago Fund. And I want us to also look at 141U, where it should state that all expenditure incurred by the Tobago Island government shall be paid out of the Tobago Fund. Audit of accounts, 141V, the accounts of the Tobago of the House of Assembly are public accounts of Trinidad and Tobago for the purposes of section 116 of the Constitution. We look at retention of monies, 141W, monies appropriated by the Parliament to the Tobago Fund for the service of a financial year which remain unexpended at the end of the financial year shall be retained by the House of Assembly. Surrender of surplus monies, 141X1, and subject to subsection 2, where in any financial year money is paid into the Tobago Fund in accordance with section 31 exceed the quantum appropriated by Parliament to the Tobago Fund for that year, the Tobago Island government shall retain 50% or such larger portion as the minister may by order specify in respect of that year, or such excess to be applied towards such projects as it considers fit. Now, all of this, might I add, actually exists today in Act 40 of 1996. We are just moving it to the Island Government Bill, and I will go back and explain so the layman will understand, because there's a lot of legal jargon I'm going through here now. The Tobago Island Government shall surrender the balance of the excess to the consolidated fund within the first quarter of the following financial year. We also look at the power to borrow, 141Y, and subject to subsection 2, and this is new, the Tobago Executive Council shall have the power to borrow locally and internationally such sums as the Tobago Executive Council considers necessary for the discharge of its function. The Tobago Executive Council may borrow for any purpose relevant to its functions under any written law, or B, for the purpose of the prudent management of its financial affairs, or C, for the purpose of any investment as approved by the Tobago Executive Council, and D, for any other purpose approved by the Tobago legislature. And with regards to section 43 of the Tobago Island government, which deals with Fiscal Review Commission, the current provision doesn't ensure the independence that ought to be inherent in such a body, given its proposal to have the Minister of Finance as chair and 2 other cabinet members in a 5-person committee. The people of Tobago have the view that a more balanced composition will be as follows, and this is for Fiscal Review Commission as proposed in the law. There shall be established a Fiscal Review Commission which shall comprise 5 members, 2 of whom shall be appointed by the Executive Council, 2 appointed by the Cabinet, and the 5th member shall be the chair of the commission, who shall be appointed by the President in his discretion after consultation with the Chief Secretary and the Prime Minister. Now, we should note the advice of Queen's Counsel Bath, as he then was, that was not taken by the Joint Select Committee. He recommended that since the FRC was to deal with the fiscal provision for Tobago, its composition should not be more heavily weighted in favor of the central government. Now I want to pause and give some further explanation on those 2 areas I just went through with you. One, I went through the matter of financing, and essentially we are asking that for those areas that already exist in Act 40 of 1996, where all revenues, all taxes collected in Tobago should be retained by Tobago, that those things be placed in the Constitution. That what happens if we collect in excess of what is allocated or appropriated by Parliament, that too must be placed within the Constitution. I also went through the fact that we should have the right to borrow based on our own creditworthiness as an island, and that such borrowing should come after approval from the Exec Council and or the Tobago legislature. I also went through with you what they propose is the Fiscal Review Commission, and that will then replace the Dispute Resolution Commission, which we have at present. The proposal is that there be a 5-member Fiscal Review Commission, Finance Review Commission, or the Fiscal Review Commission. And I'm saying we can't have a FRC that constitutes 3 members from the Cabinet and 2 from Tobago. We are proposing 2 from the Cabinet, 2 from the Executive Council, and the President appoints the chair after consultation with both the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary. That's how the FRC should be constituted, as opposed to what is being proposed this morning. I also took some time before dealing with the finance to go through the law-making authority for the Tobago Island government, and I want to be very clear that what we are proposing is that we should make the amendments to the Constitution, then give the Tobago House of Assembly 9 months to consult with the people of Tobago and to pass assembly laws in a bipartisan way that will set up the structure of the Tobago Island government. Because this right to self-determination means that the people of Tobago must have a say in how its island should be structured. I note For example, the minority report that came out of the Joint Select Committee that pointed out that there was not sufficient or worthwhile consultations with the people of Tobago. We had insufficient consultations with the people of Tobago on the Tobago Island government bill and its structures. Therefore, we are saying pass the amendments to the Constitution and then allow the people of Tobago to get together and determine the structure of its government. When we do that, we will be according unto the people of Tobago this right to self-determination. More so, we'll be ensuring that if something happens, we could stay here in Tobago and fix the problem. Recently in 2021, when the ball jammed 6-6, you remember that 6-6 period? Look at how we got out of it. The Parliament had to treat with it. And the Parliament just went, the Prime Minister just went one day and decided, I will increase it to 15 seats, and that is it. That's what he did. But really and truly, we should not have to go back to the Parliament every time there is a structural problem with the Tobago Island government. We should be able to go to our House of Assembly here and pass the amendments and fix that aspect. And so we are proposing that we more or less do away with the Tobago Island government bill, but we pass these amendments to the Constitution that will then send the Tobago House of Assembly into a 9-month period for which we will sit with the people of Tobago. We will have wide public consultations in a bipartisan way. We will go to the House, we will pass assembly laws, and then we will essentially have the structure that will then take us into the next Tobago House of Assembly elections, which is constitutionally due anytime from these 35 days from December 6, 2025. Finally, I want to deal with clause 12, and this deals with the executive authority Tobago must have. The executive authority that Tobago must have, and the authority and power to make and implement the policies of its executive council unfettered by any external entity. It can't be because you hate the exec or you hate Farley, you decide in Port of Spain that you will just do all in your power to stop us from executing. And this is not about setting up a government for my party or for my executive. It's about setting it up properly for the future, regardless of who is chief secretary. We have had conflicts between chief secretaries and prime ministers for as long as I can think of it. When we had Chairman Robinson, we had conflict between Chairman Robinson and Prime Minister Eric Williams. We had conflict between Chief Secretary, well, in some case, Chairman Dr. Jeff Davidson and Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson. We had conflict between Chief Secretary Hochoy Charles and Prime Minister Basdio Pandey. We had conflict between Chief Secretary Orville London and Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bissessa. And now we have conflict between Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And I'm saying those conflicts, which will happen from time to time, should not empower a cabinet in Trinidad to do things to impede the work of the Executive Council and the Tobago Island government. And so we must set up the island government in such a way so as to ensure that we can do our work in the most unfettered manner. Now, I will pause all of these proposed amendments online immediately. As I pointed out, these proposals are being sent to the Prime Minister and the opposition leader. In fact, I will say if there's anybody out there that have the opposition leader's phone number, you can send it to me. So I can send it not just via email, but I could send it via WhatsApp to both of these individuals. These must go to the Parliament. The Prime Minister on Thursday decided he's going to bring this up for debate today. I cannot trust that the members of Parliament for Tobago will go there and stand in defense of Tobago. I cannot trust that the Tobago born Prime Minister will go and do the right thing. So over the weekend, we spent long hours, days and nights going through this with our legal team, with the advisory council, and we came up with these proposed amendments. These proposed amendments will, in essence, amend the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2021, and it will essentially propose that we withdraw, for the most part, the Tobago Island Government Bill, and we essentially allow the people of Tobago to set up our own structure of government here on the island of Tobago. That is self-determination at work. Because I'll end by saying this: if this thing is not done properly, we will still not have self-determination, and it will mean that every Monday morning we are still going to the central government, asking them to make amendments for us, asking them to make additions for us, because we just don't have the right to determine for ourselves the structure of how we are governed. Again, to Tobagonians, I'm sorry that I have to come to you at such a last minute on a Monday morning, going through heavy legal jargon, quoting from the Constitution Amendment Bill. You might be on your way to work. You should probably be in work already, so you don't even have the proposed bills in front of you. And I am there reading through the proposed amendments without you being able to properly picture it. But the only reason I'm forced to do this between 8 and 9:30 this morning is because they decide that they will go to the Parliament at 10 o'clock this morning and have this debate. I want to thank you for joining me on Facebook, YouTube, Tobago Channel 5, Tobago Updates. I'm not sure if you were able to lock in Radio Tambourine this morning. We tried to have it on national broadcast, but we weren't quite successful at the time at the start of this broadcast. And that accounts for why we didn't do this at 8, and instead we did it just after 8:30 this morning. I want to thank you for listening, and I pray God that the Parliament will do the right thing and take the time and actually pass something substantial and pass something that is akin to what the people of Tobago wants. That's democracy. It can't be one political party deciding, I will give you whatever I want to give you, and you must just accept it. That's not how democracies work. Please, let us work in favor of democracies. Thank you. Have a productive day. Have a safe week ahead, and God's richest blessings.